see flowers today. Yes, so the flowers are in the... Actually, I'll give you guys a little tour. Why don't you feel special? Yeah, it's something new, something I don't usually do. But I will show you where the flowers are. The flowers are in the living room today. They are right there. They're there, and then I got some more over there for her. But yeah, that's where the flowers are, in case you were wondering. Yeah, if you don't know, I always have flowers for my beautiful darling. I keep flowers in the house, always, for her. Anyways, let's get started, right? Today's topic is gonna be about fear. Fear. What does it mean to you, right? And what is your relationship with fear? We all have it. Everybody has it because it's within us, right? It's part of being, how's it going, Ivan? It's part of being a human being, right? But the problem about fear is that is what stops us. It's what stops you from, again, you probably heard me say this before, it stops you from being yourself around people because maybe you don't want to be judged, or maybe you're embarrassed or don't want to be embarrassed. Fear stops us from going for the things that we want to in life, right? Whether it may be, you know, for sports or for a job or a career, or maybe it's a partner, you know. Fear gets in the way of self-esteem. Fear gets in the way of self-worth. Fear gets in the way of full potential. Fear also doesn't allow you to live your life at your full potential. Like, oh, I'm not gonna do that because I'm afraid of this, or I'm not gonna do that because I'm afraid of that. Fear, 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 fear. And I'm just curious, how's it going, Lisa? Thank you for joining, Lisa. I'm just curious, how many of you live with fear every single day? I'm curious, how many of you are aware of your fears? And I'm even more curious, how many of you are aware how much your fears are controlling your life, right? I ask these questions because oftentimes, you know, a lot of people and a lot of my clients, I always listen to them, of course, you know, and when I first start working with somebody, they'll just tell me all this stuff, like they're just frustrated and it sounds so complex and so complicated, right? But realistically, I love to just narrow things down. And I think that from what I've seen, fear it's definitely been one of those things that I've seen. It's been a common denominator with people who have anxiety, people who have depression, people who have self-esteem issues, people who are feeling lost, right? And that's why I'm so passionate about this topic, and I've faced a lot of my fears, not just from being in the Marines for 7 years, but also, you know, just my life in general. And I learned to take fear as a tool, and it helps me grow. It keeps me in check. And when I feel fear, I use that as fuel to challenge myself, to not let that be my limitation. And that's how I'm able to grow, and I'm able to grow my self-esteem. How's it going? Krista from Holland, Amsterdam, thank you for joining. Fear is learned, 100%, fear of failure. Okay, so yeah, everybody has fear, right? But it's easy to say, well, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. But the biggest question that a lot of people actually don't have the really deep answer is why? Why are you afraid, for example, hey Woody, MC, of failure? Why is failure so important to you? Why has it become something that you fear, right? Because once you understand that, you understand and you start to realize that fear was born at one point in time in your life, right? Whether most of the times when you were a kid at some point, or maybe younger age, right? So maybe like teenage times or whatever, that something happened to you, or somebody told you something, you had an experience that led you to believe that was you felt so crappy essentially that you took that and you ran with it for the rest of your life, and then you built upon that fear, right? So that's another thing, is that a lot of people build on that fear with other things that they're more afraid of. So now that we've pretty much have made it pretty clear what fear is, right, and how we can all understand that it comes in different ways and we all live it, the million-dollar question is, well, how do I get over it? And you know, when I work with my clients on this, the number one thing is becoming very clear with yourself, right? Becoming very clear with yourself as to whether you want to face this fear or if you want this fear to run your life. In other words, do you want to stay in this state of constant fear with whatever is that you're struggling, right? Or do you want to overcome that? And do you want to feel liberated? Do you want to feel like you can breathe and not be afraid of whatever it is that's making you feel stuck or fearful? And you have to get serious with yourself. You have to be willing to say, I'm going to be brave, right? And I'm going to face my fears. And I'm not talking about jumping off an airplane, although that may be a form of fear. I'm talking about the important deep fear, right? The fear that keeps you from being fully happy. The fear that keeps you from being at your full potential, right? The fear that keeps you from feeling like you can just be yourself and not care about what anybody thinks or anybody says. And the fear of knowing your worth, right? You know your worth, but you're afraid to live your worth. So those are very, very deep and very important forms of fear that really impact our lives. And I'm not talking about the other types of fears, right? That like I mentioned earlier, jumping off an airplane, although that might be a fear. So once you get real with yourself, what I have a lot of my clients do is a list of all the things that they fear, the deep things that they fear, right? And once you write down a list of the things that you fear, I want you to pick the top three fears that you feel like are controlling your life, that you feel like are really are hindering, right, your life, hindering yourself. They give you maybe the most anxiety or they stop you from doing things that you want to do in your life. The top three out of all the list, right? And then I want you to take those three from your list and put them separately, maybe on a separate piece of paper, right? And then just put them one here, and then one here. So three, essentially almost like three columns, right, on your paper, right? And I want you to put out of the three, the number one most urgent or the number one most powerful one, second and third, right? Third being the least. And then I want you to really think about when was this fear born, right? When did this fear come to your life that you decided to adopt it and just run with it and live with it for the rest of your life, right? Because once you're able to get full clarity on that fear, you're going to be able to understand it. And by understanding it, you're going to be able to then have courage to say, okay, well, wow, I never even thought about this. Where did it come from? Oh, you know what? Let me think about that. Oh, wow. Maybe it stemmed from, for failure, for example, maybe it stemmed from my father, that he was just so hard on me. And when I failed, right, it was really impactful in my life. So I became fearful of failing because I don't want to disappoint him. I don't want to disappoint people, and I don't want to disappoint myself. I'm just giving you guys an example. But maybe that's something you never realized because you didn't really think about it, right? And so once you understand it, you take the time to understand it. It's like anything else, right? By understanding it, now you're able to look at it from a different perspective. It's not just up here, like just super high level. You're getting down into the gritty into the root of that fear. And when you get to the root of that fear and you understand it, now you can say, okay, you can ask yourself this question: what would it look like to be free of this fear? What would it feel like? What would your day look like? What's something that you would do different, right? Like go into this imagination, this sort of, if you will, yeah, it's in a way, it is, you are manifesting this manifestation of what it would look like for that fear to be gone, and feel it. And just sit there and just feel like, daydream about it for when you're doing this, right? And then let that be your drive. Let that be your motive. Let that be your motivation as to why you want to battle this fear and overcome it, right? And let that be the reason as to why you're doing it. Because once you can think about it and feel it, and you're like, wow, I really want that for me. I really, 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 thank you, visualization. Then once you feel it, right, it changes everything in the human, as humans, when we feel things. Trauma is oftentimes in correlation with feelings that are in relation to that memory, right? Love has a lot to do with fear, with feelings. Not fear, feelings, maybe a little fear too. Feelings, right? So everything that you put feelings to, it has a lot more meaning to it. So I'm so passionate about this, ladies and gentlemen, because I want every single one of you to live your life at your full potential. I want every single one of you to go out that door, to go out into the world and feel like, you know what, like I feel good. I feel like I am clear in where I'm going in life, or where I want to go. I feel comfortable in my own skin. I feel proud of who I am. I recognize that I'm a unique individual, one of a kind, that I have a lot to offer to myself and to the world. And in order for you to do that, right, you have to have confidence in yourself. You have to have self-worth. You have to have self-respect, right? You have to have peace within you. And in order to get all of those things, you have to face your fears, right? Because that's what stops you from doing all of those things, to live within yourself with all of those things. And so when you can just say, wow, if I can just focus maybe on the next couple of months on just my 3 fears, or maybe just choose one fear a month that you just want to focus on overcoming, right? And being positive about it, and start changing the story of that fear, and just slowly just do a little something extra every single day to get you out of that feeling, right? You are gonna start to build your confidence. You're gonna start to believe in yourself, like, wow, I got this, right? I got this. And then now you're gonna take on another thing, and then another thing, and now it's become a habit. Now it's part of your life, that you feel like, you know what, when a challenge comes and fear comes with it, I will be able to overcome this challenge, and I am confident that I will be able to overcome this fear, right? Confidence in being able to do that. So does that make sense? Does that resonate with everybody so far? Everybody on track? Everybody understand what I'm saying? I just, this perspective that I'm bringing to you, I want you to really just take it with you. Look, I don't know what you're gonna do after this live, but I just hope that you can just take this with you and just do something about it. Do something about your life. If whatever you're unhappy about, right, whatever that you want to change, I want to empower you, ladies and gentlemen. I want to empower you. I want to motivate you, because it is at your fingertips. You just have to work with this. You have to change the way you think. You got to stop telling yourself that you can't do this, that you're not strong enough, or you're not good looking enough, or you're not this, and you're not that, and blah, 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 blah. Stop. Stop beating yourself up every single day. Every single day. Please. Because that feeds your fear, right? Instead, think of yourself as a friend, right? Think yourself as a friend, and what will you tell a friend that is in your shoes? Would you tell the things that you tell yourself? Probably not, right? You're probably there for them. You probably would be like, you know, whatever you need to hear. Hey, I'm here for you. Everything's going to be all right. So why not do that to ourselves? Right? Why not be there for ourselves? We can't control people, but we can control ourselves. So wouldn't it be more constructive? Wouldn't it be more effective, right? To speak nice to ourselves, to motivate ourselves, to believe in ourselves. Something to think about, right? All right, so I hope this is resonating with everybody. I hope that this is becoming helpful. And I know there's a lot of stuff here on TikTok. There's a lot of really great stuff. I've now and then, very rarely, but now and then I'll scroll and I like the humor stuff, or I like the to see people like being out there like myself who are trying to help people out there in the world. And I use this platform strictly for that. If you don't follow me, you'll see that it's all like inspirational stuff. None of it is scripted or pretty, or it's just me. So it's very raw, but my whole intent is just to help people, and it comes from the heart. And I think that's why my channel has done decently, is because I am just here to help. I mean, just to be completely candid. And yes, I do this for a living, but I do this every single day. This is my way of giving, right? And I think it's very important to be able to help people, to be able to give people hope, to give people some perspective, some tools. And I think it's important to give, right? I've gone through a lot of things in my life, and I've been able to make it to where I am now, and I'm super grateful for all of that. So it would be selfish of me to keep it all to myself. So I try to really bring this perspective to people, try to live by example, and help out as many people as I can. That is my purpose and goal in life. That is why I'm here, and I'm very clear with that, and I've accepted it. I've honed onto it, and it's my passion. So you know, when I talk to you guys about this stuff, it's not something I read in some book or whatever. This is stuff that I've experienced, and it's changed my life, and that I teach people, and it's changed their lives as well, you know. So yeah, I just really hope that you are here and you needed to hear that message, and I hope that it's very helpful. Thank you, Rose. So I guess my question is to you, I would love to hear from some of you, what are some of your fears, that your number one fear that you have? You have a positive vibe, I like that. Thank you, Krista, really appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. But yeah, if you're comfortable sharing, like let's dig in a little bit, right? Let's get personal. What's one big fear that you have that you feel like it's really hindering you, or it's like affecting you? If you don't mind sharing. If you're not comfortable, it's totally cool. Okay, Ella says, I fear I will lose readers because it takes me forever to write. It takes me forever to write my stories, won't be good enough. Okay, so you're worried about other people. Obviously, what other people think about you is really important, and you're comparing. You're not talking about the quality of. You're not concerned with the quality of the material that you write. You're concerned more of the speed, right? And realistically, like, that is the story you're telling yourself, right? I will wait for things that have quality, and I have no problem with that. I would rather do that than get something quick that's like half-assed, or the quality's just not there, right? So, you know, because it takes you longer, right, to write things, don't let that be like, beat yourself up for that. Know that you're doing the best you can, and know that you're doing it with passion and with full intent. And know that there's a market for anything and everyone out there. There are people who it's not going to resonate with, and that is okay. Be okay with that. You can't please everybody, right? Just how my material isn't for everybody. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally cool with it. But I do it for the ones that it is, for the ones that works, right? For the ones that does resonate with, like the ones who are listening to me right now. And even if it's only 8 of you, I don't care. I really don't, right? So what I'm saying is shift that perspective from a negative lens, right? Which oftentimes fear is that negative lens, to just be like, you know what? Hey, I know that my stuff is good, the stuff that I write, and you know what? People are gonna respect that it takes me a little bit longer, and I'm not gonna beat myself up for that because I'm doing my best and I know that. And you know what? That's just the way it is. So Krista says very chill. Lisa says the fear of not being accepted. Yeah, so that is a big one. I see that one a lot, right? A lot, because that is not just with women. Men just don't like to talk about it, but it's a lot with men. In fact, I would say that men are much more insecure than women. It's just my opinion, just from what I've seen. I see a lot of insecure men walking around in the world, but a lot of people are afraid to not being accepted and it comes from being turned down, right? And oftentimes that stimulates, or it comes from, you know, the relationship in which you've had with acceptance, and what does that mean, and why is it important? And it oftentimes has to do with your childhood, all the way back with how your relationship with your parents, right? So even with some folks that have had good relationship with their parents of being accepted, there was something that happened, whether they were bullied or something happened in their lives that caused them to just feel like, oh, I'm afraid to be accepted for who I am, because in the past, it's the famous words, in the past, you know, this has happened and people have been this way and that way. And it hurts, and you have feelings. You have every right to feel that way. I totally get that. You're learning what pain is as you grow older, right? So at first, when you first experience pain, you're like, pardon my French, but you're like, fuck, right? It does not feel good. But the more you understand pain, like anything else, the more that you can be like, okay, I learned so much from this, right? And although that was my relationship with acceptance, I'm gonna start by accepting myself first, and I'm gonna fix my relationship with me, right? First, and then I'm gonna work on, you know, feeling like I don't care if I'm accepted or not. But you have to feel that within yourself, right? So my question to you, Lisa, excuse me, is, do you accept yourself? Is it Zach or Sack Bun says, you give me trust, loyalty, and in the end, they don't. My fear. You give trust, loyalty, and in the end, they don't. Okay, so do you give to receive? Because that is not a healthy way of doing things, right? Do you give to receive? Because if you're doing something to get something out, your intention is not really true, right? Your intention is, oh, I'm doing this because I really want to get this in return, right? But when you give, and you give out of just giving, right? Then you will get rewarded, and maybe it may not be the way you want it to, but it will resonate with that intention that you were giving, right? With that love, and giving with that loyalty, giving with that trust. And sometimes you meet people who are here to teach us lessons, right? They're here to say, hey, I'm going to teach you what it feels like, to not trust somebody. I'm going to teach you what it feels like about loyalty. Not everybody can be loyal, right? But then you can look at that and be like, why did I attract this person? This is the school of life, right? And we're all here learning. But we have to look at it from that perspective. We have to be willing to say, okay, what did I learn from my life so far? And are you doing this all the time? Are you blaming other people of all the things? Or how often do you look in the mirror and say, how can I better myself? How can I do things better? How can I grow, right? What am I doing that could be different, that could be more constructive, that can be better, that would attract people in my life that resonate more with my morals, right? So the law of attraction is a real thing, and I strongly believe in that. But oftentimes it's easy to do this, but you forget that there's 3 fingers pointing back at you, right? So just remember that. Remember that to reflect with yourself and to say, okay, if I fear giving and not receiving, what is my relationship with that? Understand that, right? Ella Mays says, I am a single mom going to school and writing, so it takes me forever to finish it. I mean, shit, that is amazing, Ella. I mean, that is a lot, right? And good for you for not giving up. First of all, I just want to say that. Good for you for not giving up. Good for you for, you know, even though you have challenges right now, and it sounds like you've had challenges in your life, I also I have a strong feeling that you're very determined individual. You have to be, right? If you're doing this. And you're probably a little too hard on yourself, which has helped you, but also hinders you at being at your full potential because you beat yourself up a lot. So I would say, Ella, to just try to shift that perspective to being kind to yourself and give yourself some breathing space, right? And say, hey, you know what? I'm doing my best. And people can understand that. People should understand that. And maybe put it on your website or put it on your services, you know, like on your bio or whatever it is, just so that it makes you feel better that it's out there and people know. But just do what you love. And as long as you're passionate and you love doing it, it doesn't matter how much time it takes. As long as you're doing your best, the universe will always be on your side. I promise you. Thank you. That makes sense. Good. You're very welcome. Krista says, that's true. I got to therapy as a guy and I am scared if people find out. I go to therapy. Okay, I go to therapy as a guy and I'm scared to find out. Is the bean dip still here? Let me double check. Yes. Okay, cool. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that, brother. Okay? Let me say that one more time. There is nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs somebody as a guide. Everybody needs somebody to be able to give us, right, some guidance, some path or tools. I mean, I'm a coach. I'm not a therapist. It's similar, but it's different. And I always tell people, everybody needs a coach. Even Tom Brady has a coach, right? Like, we all need I have a coach. I do. And it's okay. There's nothing to be ashamed about that. All therapists and coaches are people who are here to help you. To say, hey, I understand this is a problem that you have. I understand that this is the thing that you're feeling. Let's talk about that and let's find a solution so you can be happier. How is that a sign of weakness? How is that a bad thing? How is that anything negative? The reason that you're afraid of it is because you're afraid of being judged as a male. There's a lot of pressure on men to be this tough guy, masculine bullshit that's not what really it is. And there's none of that being vulnerable and, you know, being able to be masculine, but also being able to be more open, right? And being a gentle being. And gentle for men or vulnerable, it is associated with weakness. But I'm telling you, it's not true at all. And I'm leading by example. And I don't care what men think, because men that come at me, which it's rare, but when it happens, I can see right through it. I'm like, you really are insecure about yourself. And so, you know, the bean dip, don't be afraid of that. Don't be scared of that. And if you ever need somebody to talk to you, like, you know, I'm here, man. So seriously, like, just, I'm proud of you for taking control of your life, for being brave enough to say, hey, I don't feel good. I'm going to do something about it, right? Because when you take care of yourself, you feel better. And when you feel better, you show up in the world better. And that makes you a better person. And I respect the shit out of that. So don't be scared of people finding out, man. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm telling you right now. Okay. Being a life coach is definitely your calling. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. By the way, those freckles are attractive. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Most of the time, says Lisa. Okay. So if I remember correctly, most of the time that you accept yourself most of the time, right? Well, it should be all the time. You want to accept yourself all the time. You want to accept for who you are, because if you can't accept yourself, how can you expect other people to accept you? Right? Everything comes within. Happiness, acceptance, self-love, everything like energy. Excuse me. Everything comes within us. And that is something that was a secret that I learned. That I used to think like happiness was, I had to reach for it. I had to like have this and do that and all these other distractions and all that. And every time I would get it, I'd be like, shit, it only lasted for a little bit. And now I want something else, right? And I learned that it's within us. It's within me. My reality is what I create it to be. And it's my perspective, it's the stories that I tell myself. It's the thoughts that I entertain. It's the thoughts that I create. It's the thoughts that I choose to make into reality, right? And if we can take responsibility, if we can look into ourselves and recognize that we are in control, or that we can be in control, then that's the key. That's the key to breath, to be able to breathe, to be able to be like, wow, like I can create anything. Even when it's gray outside, I can have sunshine in my life if I believe that, right? The power of belief is so powerful and so real. And that's something that I just learned throughout the years of my life. When I started questioning myself, I started learning. It says stronger the what? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so that's absolutely. You start questioning yourself in a healthy way. Meaning, get to know yourself, right? Like think about that. Like think about like, who are you? Like, how well do you know yourself? Well, a lot of people are like, well, Alex, you know, of course I know myself very well. Oh, really? Where's happiness to you? Well, happiness is, feeling like things are good and okay, great. So what else does it mean? Like, describe to me, what's the feeling associated with happiness? Are you happy right now? No, okay. And you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and then you get to some points where I do this with my clients all the time, where they're like, roadblock. Oh, I never thought about it that deep, right? So going back to her point, when you start to just dig in yourself and being clear with yourself, right? It really makes a big difference. I have a course launching in July. It's a 2-week course that it's called Discovering You, that talks about all this in a lot more depth. And I actually share with you my technique and my tools on how to get clear with yourself and everything that's important and in your purpose and all of that. So I'm going to be announcing that probably this week at some point. So if you want to sign up, just go to my page and check it out. But yeah, you just got to take action. You so right. I learned a big lesson, and it's so hard to adapt. But I'm getting there. Good, man. That's all it is, right? It's just about like saying, okay, little baby steps, one step at a time. Just don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Really, it's saying to yourself, I am not going to give up on my happiness. I'm not going to give up on my devotion to doing things different, because today, not tomorrow, today, you get to do things different. At this moment in time, whatever is resonating with you after this live, it's up to you if you're going to continue to just press play on the things that you keep doing that are not making you happy, or say, you know what, let me pause on that. Let me see how maybe I should try to do things different if I want to get different results, right? But it's up to you. It's really up to you. Nice to meet you, Adrian. And we were just talking about fear, man, and how it's something that it's stopping people, right, from living their full life. And we just had some people share some of their fears, and I was just essentially giving feedback and helpful tools and perspective more than anything on how to change that. And we were just talking about the power of now and how, you know, many of us are not happy with certain things, certain aspects of our lives, and we keep doing it. We copy and we paste it to the next day. We don't do things different. And it's about that, right? It's about making little changes every single day in order to get different results, right? So Any advice on panic attacks? Yes, of course, panic attacks. First of all, what is causing the panic attack? You always have to know, right? You have to know what is the cause. So what is the trigger? What's the trigger to your panic attacks? Doesn't seem to be triggered by anything. That sounds pretty interesting. So what if you have okay, let me ask you this. When you have a panic attack, but rational. Okay, so take me to your most recent panic attack. What was the first thing that you thought when you had that panic attack? What was the thought that came? Can you remember? While you're writing, hopefully you're writing, I'm gonna just kind of talk about panic attacks. And panic attacks are essentially habits, right, that we've adopted. And we've taught our brains that whenever this thought or feeling, okay, then the adrenaline started. Okay, but what was the thought that caused your panic attack? Like, what is something that you think that causes it to come? Heart races, right, yeah, is pretty normal. This is a pretty standard with panic attacks. Here's why I'm asking these questions, right? Because panic attacks often have to do with the fight or flight mode, right? You feel like you're in danger of some sort, so your body is physically preparing to protect itself or run. So the heart racing, adrenaline, all that, it's your body saying, we are in danger, we need to get ready to run or fight, right? Thought, I'm going to die. There it is, exactly, right? So that is what it is, right? And then, so if we take that, I want to bring my whiteboard out, but basically it's fear, right? You're afraid of dying, and essentially there's something that has to do with that seed, the seed of dying, either by, I get that, but I don't know how to short circuit. Well, okay, so the thing is like you have to then say, okay, you're afraid of dying, got it. But why? When was this born? When did you start to fear like you were gonna die, right? That's important. So this fear was born at some point in your life, either because of an event or something that you saw, or maybe it was COVID, who knows, right? Whatever it was, that's when it was born. So when was this born? And I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to give you that short circuit answer, but I need to understand it more before giving you the tools. But anyways, yeah, so like I was saying, it has a lot to do with that fight or flight, right? Typically, a lot of people with trauma experience anxiety attacks, or they experience a lot of panic attacks, right? Anxiety or panic attack is just really the same thing. So you have to go back to when it was born and understand that moment, right? That memory when it was born, and be like, okay, so at that point I was afraid of my life because X, Y, and Z. When working in there it is, yep. Working in hospital and had heart palpitations, ended in ER, thought I was having a heart attack. Okay, yep. I see this a lot too with some of my patients or clients. Yeah, so because of that experience, you're fearful that it's gonna happen again and that you're gonna die, right? Hey, Gino, how you doing? I'm doing great. So that is the thing, right? So can you control that? No, you cannot control that, right? So you need to stop feeding that, like, oh, I'm gonna die. And when you start to think about it, that's why I asked the thought, right? When you start to think about it, that's when it's triggered, right? So if that is the case, right, then it's the thought of you dying that's causing the panic attack. So when the thought comes, the short circuit would be to change that story. How's it going, Jen? You got to change that story right? And to say like, okay, no. I'm not gonna die, I'm okay. Take deep breaths. There's this thing called box breathing. Look it up, Google that shit, it's real. And there's a lot of other techniques in which will calm yourself down, right? So start by breathing and focusing on the breathing. Take a deep breath, hold it, let it go. What the breathing does is calms your body down. It delivers more oxygen to your brain, right? Which is gonna help you calm down that physical attack that you get. And by focusing on your breath, you're no longer thinking about the death, right? Oh, I'm gonna die, right? And just focus on, just be like, okay, I'm okay. And just calm down and take deep breath and just focus on relaxing more and more. So now you're teaching the brain that, hey, everything is okay. We are not in danger. I'm not gonna die. Everything is good. And you prevent that flight or flight mode to get activated, right? Which is everything you talked about, heart rate, adrenaline. Your body is like, we're gonna die, it's danger. Like I said before, I need to defend myself or run. So stop that. So when that thought comes, that's your alarm. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, I know what happens next. So let's stop that. I'm gonna breathe. I'm gonna breathe and I'm just focusing air going into my lung, and then just when you breathe out of your mouth, just relax your shoulders, relax your tongue from the top of your mouth, and just find yourself more and more relaxing. And that is gonna help you a lot. But you gotta keep practicing it, right? So now you're teaching your brain that when this thought comes and you breathe, breathing means calming down. Does that make sense? Can you pass out, black out from a panic attack? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. People have different extremes of it, right? Panic attacks, again, is you are afraid of death, or you're afraid of something so badly that your freaking chemical, your mind is going so much, your mind is sending to your body the blood to the main organs, like to your muscles. And oftentimes people that get panic attacks also get cold or get like a slight sweat, right? They get that damp skin and stuff like that. And yeah, some people can pass out, absolutely, or black out. So it's the key to that is just understanding that it's a mental thing. It's not actually physical. That there's a thought that gets triggered, that triggers you to go into that panic stage. Does that make sense? Do you have any thoughts on hypnosis? Yeah, hypnosis is a very powerful tool. If you go to a certified and professional that's gone to school and knows how to do this, yeah, I've seen it done miracles, honestly. And the mind is very powerful. We really don't know a lot about it. To be really candid, we think we know, but we don't know shit. And the subconscious mind is even more of a mystery, right? And that's where a lot of trauma and a lot of these really deep memories are stored in our minds. And so hypnosis kind of goes into that subconscious, which is more like back here, to the subconscious mind, and really just, helps you rewire things or release things. So yeah, I believe in it. I have seen it be very effective if you're open-minded to it and you allow yourself and you allow your mind to go through the process. I have definitely seen it to be very effective. It's like meditation, right? It's a different form of meditation, if you will, that's guided. But meditation is extremely powerful. I swear by meditation. It's changed my life, and it's just you learning and understanding and devoting time between you and your brain, and seeking that calmness and seeking that peace, and learning on how to control your mind, right, is extremely powerful. It's an incredible tool. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am probably gonna get off here because it's time for me to go, but for feelings. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna get off. Thank you so much for joining. Again, if you just joined, and you missed this whole live, go to my YouTube channel. I record these and then I upload them every day to my YouTube channel. So go on there if you're interested in learning more about how you can overcome fear. And yeah, wish you all an incredible, beautiful day. Go out there, live your life, be brave, stay true to yourself, and I love you all. Take care. Bye.